Hey, what's going on, Flash Mob? It's your boy Flash, and I'm back again with another video. And it's been a few weeks since I've purchased the Komodo X, and I've been getting the same question over and over and over again. Should I spend my money on the OG Komodo, or should I ante up and go ahead with the Komodo X? In this video, we're going to take a look at both cameras side by side. We're going to take a look at some of the internal factors. We're also going to look at some of the external features and figure out which one is going to be the best for you. If that's a question that you've been asking, you want to get the answer, make sure you stick around and watch this video. Run the intro. My channel is all about helping you turn your passion into a paycheck whilst taking you along my filmmaking journey. If that's the kind of thing that you're into, make sure you go ahead and hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss any future videos. Now, just a quick background about me. I've been shooting on Red cameras since about 2016. My first camera was a Scarlett W, and I fell in love with the Red format and just the overall image that these cameras produce. And over some time, these cameras have gotten a little bit smaller and a lot more powerful. And today we now have the DSMC3 bodies, which are remarkably small and lightweight and extraordinarily feature-filled. So the purpose of my videos is to give you guys a real-world look and feel of the Komodo and the Komodo X, and just get an idea if this is even something that you should be looking for, and if it is something within your scope of work and what you're trying to do, which option will probably be the best for you. So let's take a look at the cameras side by side first. So pretty much you guys can see they are very similar in terms of their body shape and form factor. They're both really small, really lightweight, and extremely versatile. If you compare the weight from the two cameras, the Komodo X is about 2.6 pounds with just the body, and the OG Komodo is about 2.1 pounds. So not much of a weight difference. So let's look at the side of the cameras real quick. So on the right hand side of the camera, pretty much exactly the same, just a few small differences. We have the same power switch here on both units. We have the same fan option. This one's actually quite a bit larger on the Komodo X, but same fan location. We have a record button here. One of the major differences is that they decided to move the antenna from the side to the back, which we'll take a look at in a little bit. And they also added this little speaker option. Still not 100% sure what this does, but I'm pretty sure when you're doing some playback and you want to hear some sound out of it, you can get it without sticking in a headset. So that might be what that's for. If we turn it around to the other side now, we'll see we have a vent on both sides here. We have our media bay. So I'm just going to turn this a little bit more so I can see it as well. The media bay, which is where you put your memory cards. And on the X, it's got a really nice opening flap here that I really like. Take a look at the front. The front is also a little bit different. As you guys can see here on the X, we now have a record button on the front. And now we also have this locking RF mount, which in my opinion is a great idea. I'm not sure why the Komodo didn't have that originally, but it just really keeps that RF mount really secure when you're using the camera. But other than that, like I said, pretty much identical in terms of what's happening in the front. And if we look at the top, we have pretty much the same exact button layout. We have the menu up and down, the select and play button. Only major difference here is that they put these little grooves on the lock buttons here on the up and down where you can just kind of feel it. I mean, in the dark, sure, this will make a big difference, but if you're looking at the camera, I don't know, that doesn't seem necessary to me, but it's good nonetheless. I'll take it. The screen on both cameras are exactly the same size at 2.9 inches, and they're both LCDs with touchscreens, which is fantastic in my opinion. If we take a look at the back, this is where things start becoming pretty evident that we have two different cameras. First thing you're going to notice here is on the Komodo X, you do get a V-mount battery option. Whereas on the OG Komodo, you're getting the BP batteries, which honestly, in my opinion, I really liked because it gave you the ability to hot swap. So you could take out one battery, replace it with another one, and the camera would stay on and stay running. So that was really good in terms of what I liked about the Komodo originally. But they decided to switch that back over to the V-mount option, which if we're, you know, looking at the pros and cons of that, you're going to be able to get a lot more juice into the camera with the V-mount battery than you would ever get with the BP batteries. And if you look at the I/O ports here, they moved them from the bottom of the camera. So we see the external SDI and the power option here. They moved it from there to the side now. And with that, they also took the audio ports. So this is the headphones and microphone option here. They moved them from the side and also moved them to the back. And one thing that stands out, you know, pretty significantly here on the back is that they now went to a 5-pin audio option, which a lot of people are like, yeah, it's really good because now you can get to work with, you know, better audio options. I know that they have like an XLR adapter now that you can stick in using the 5-pin, which, I mean, technically is cool, but it's not as popular as, let's say, something like a 3.5 millimeter jack. But I guess once you get into the right workflow and you get the right type of accessories and things like that, then it really starts becoming a plus for you. But yeah, that's pretty much the body of the two cameras here. Now, I have a different base plate on both of them. Right now, I have my DJI RS3 Pro base plate on here. But most of the time, this camera is going to be on a gimbal anyways. That's my plan, unless I'm doing like a 2-camera interview or something, then I might throw it on a tripod. But for the most part, I'm going to be living with this on a gimbal. So let's take a look at their media real quick. So here we have 2 different type of memory cards. We have a CF Express Type B and a CF Express Type C. What kind of sucks about this is that they did switch the memory cards. So now I have a bunch of memory cards that's specifically for the OG and a couple of memory cards that are going to be for the X. So I can't use the same media in both cameras, which kind of sucks. But the plus side of it here for the Komodo X is now that because of the Type B, you get faster cards. And as you guys can see, this one is a 1 terabyte card, whereas this is a 512 gigabyte card. So pretty much I get double the storage on this with faster writing speed. So in my opinion, great move to move this over to the Komodo X to go to the Type B, but I just wish that the OG Komodo also used the Type B. But what you're gonna do, you gotta use what they give you, right? So that's what it is for memory. So if we're still sticking with the media, the CF Express Type B cards are still pretty expensive. The 1 terabyte is about $299. But it is so much cheaper than the Red Mini Mags back in the day. If I recall, my Red Mini Mag was about $1,400 or something like that. And it was like 512 megabytes. So like way more expensive, not as much capacity, and just ridiculous if you ask me. And it was proprietary. So you can only use those Red Mini Mags on the Red camera. They've come a long way in terms of the media as well, which I love. So let's talk about some of the internal differences. So when it comes to frame rates and things like that, that's where you're really seeing the difference in the Komodo X. I'm gonna go ahead and put up the stats for both cameras on the screen right now. And as you can see on the Komodo X, you top out at 6K at 80 frames, whereas on the OG, you get 6 frames at up to 40 frames. Now, if you're the type of person that does a lot of sports or anything with high action and, I don't know, maybe some dancing stuff or even fashion or whatever, where you just wanna slow things down to emphasize the look and feel of whatever you're filming, slow motion is a big deal, right? If you're more on the narrative side of things where, you know, you're dealing with a lot of dialogue and slowing things down is not really that much of a priority. I mean, 6K at 40 frames is more than enough for the average person. But it really comes down to what you're going to be doing with the camera. And if you ever worked with Red cameras before, you know you can get higher frame rates if you drop down the resolution. But when you do that on the OG Komodo, let's say you want to get up to 60 frames and you go down to 4K, you're really cropping in on that sensor. And that's kind of one of the negative things that people don't really love about Red cameras. So if you do decide to go with the OG and you want to get those faster frame rates, you decide to go from 6K to 4K, just remember that that's actually going to be something that you got to deal with. So I think a fun thing to do is we'll put some batteries on both the cameras and we'll turn them on and we'll see which one takes longer to actually turn on. So let's see if I can hit these switches at the same time. 1, 2, 3. So let's see which one takes longer. Looks like the OG's in the lead right now. I'll probably throw a timer up on the screen so we can get a more accurate number of how long they're actually taking, but let's just see what happens. So the OG's up. The X is still doing all kinds of animations and stuff. Now the X is up. Definitely an advantage to the OG, especially if you're on a production where you need to turn off the camera, turn it back on, or you're doing a black shading where the camera might reset, or just anything, you know, where time is a factor. The OG is going to win where that's concerned. Now, if you look at the monitors, again, like I said, they are literally exactly the same in terms of the information that's displayed on the screen. One thing that I noticed just from myself is, let's do it real quick. Go to the white balance and just move it over a bit. It is very smooth. Whatever they did, it's a lot less choppy. Like you guys can, I don't know if you guys can really see that on camera, but it's very choppy on the OG. Whereas on the X, it's very smooth. Everything just seems very accurate. Like I said, they do exactly the same stuff. So let's take these cameras out and let's film a couple things and let's see if you guys can actually tell the difference of which camera is which. You guys tell me honestly, were you able to tell the difference? Go ahead and leave something in the comments and tell me which camera you thought was camera A and which camera you thought was camera B. So if you guessed that camera B is the Komodo X, you were correct. Now, you either guessed that and got lucky, or you really know your red cameras, because honestly, if I didn't know based on the files that were being presented on the editing program, I probably wouldn't have known which one was which. They are extremely identical. At 6K, at regular 2398 frames per second, fully graded, like, it's damn near impossible to tell the difference of these two cameras. They both look really good and they both perform really well. And in my honest opinion, you can't go wrong if you decide to go with one over the other if you're just looking at straight up image quality. Where you will start seeing some of the differences in the two cameras is if you start using some of the slow motion like I mentioned before. So let's talk about one of the most important things when it comes down to choosing one of these two cameras, and that is the price. So in general, these cameras, body only, are very expensive. And when you start adding things like batteries, memory card, cages, lens mounts, the price really starts increasing quickly. Now, if you do decide to go with the OG, you're looking at $5,099. So let's just round it up to $6,000. And if you decide to go with the X, you're looking at $9,995. So round it up to about $10,000 for the body only. So, I mean, that's a $4,000 difference between this camera and this camera. And just remember, you're adding another $5,000 to $7,000 in accessories to keep these cameras running for the entire day. So I would say, depending on the kind of work that you do, is going to determine which camera is going to be best for you. If you're the type of person that doesn't shoot a lot of slow motion action, and most of your stuff, like I said, is narrative or very planned out and just whatever's happening, and you don't really need that slow-mo, then absolutely the OG Komodo is going to be more than enough for the average person. But if you are the type of person that wants to be very versatile, you want to have that slow motion and you want to be able to do those kind of things and, present it in a way that's amazing still at 6K full resolution, then that's where I would start saying maybe the X might be right for you. Also, if you're the type of person that likes to use gimbals or anything like that, the OG is going to be a lot easier for you to balance, mainly because, you get these BP batteries, first of all. The antenna is on the side rather than poking out the back. It's a little bit lighter. I mean, I don't think that really matters, but something to consider. And just its overall form factor in general, it's a little bit smaller than the Komodo X in terms of the length of the camera as well. So it might be a little bit easier for you to get this on a gimbal and balance. So if that's something that you do a lot of, so yeah, the OG might be where you want to go. At the end of the day, it's going to come down to your budget and what you can afford. So, I mean, if your budget can afford that $6,000 price point with, like I said, adding on another couple $1,000s, then yeah, I mean, go with what you can afford. If you have the budget and, you have the type of clients that's going to support this kind of purchase, I always say to go with the one that's better, right? If I go with the OG and we're going to talk about the X is a better camera. So if you can afford it, you have the clientele, go ahead and buy the X. At the end of the day, I'm just really happy and I'm extremely blessed to be in a position where I can own both these cameras, and I have the type of clients and a crew that has the ability to use these cameras and produce good work, right? For me, it came down to image quality, ease of use. I really love working with their R3D files that Red cameras use, and overall I just had a really good experience using these type of cameras, so that's why I decided to stay within the ecosystem. And I think for now, I'll be pretty content with these two cameras, so I don't think I'm going to be getting any new ones for the time being. I mean, of course, if Red releases something again that I like and, it's within my price point, maybe we'll see what happens at that point. But for now, I'm really happy with what I have, and I'm just going to rock these cameras out until the wheels fall off. So yeah, that's pretty much going to be the end of this video. I really hope that this helped you guys in some way, shape, or form. If you have any other comments, make sure you go ahead and leave it in the comments below. And if the video helped, like the video. It's a small, simple click for you, but it makes a world of a difference for this channel. So if you could hit that like button, you can subscribe as well if you liked it. That makes a huge difference for this channel. So yeah, pretty much thanks for watching, guys. I appreciate you guys taking the time. And as always, remember to look, learn, and share. Take it easy, guys. Peace.